Hello, can I be heard? Hello, hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Then let me hear your response.
Yeah. Okay.
Good
All right.
evening.
Good evening.
How
Thank
you
you so much.
doing?
Yeah, I'm
How's
fine.
been your
Good.
day?
Yeah. Good. 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 And yours?
Good to have you on board.
Thank you.
I want to
Good to have
believe
you.
you were into stress today.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons we get paid. So it's part of life. Good.
All right, well done. Um, can we start right away?
Yeah. Sure.
All right. Welcome once again. My name is Olato and with me here is Bolaji Bankole. We'll be discussing about the basics of cybersecurity and possibly challenges that you can face as a beginner. And I'll be throwing a few questions at our, you know, speaker of today, our guest, an expert. So, since he's already in the field and he's been practicing for quite a number of years now, quite some years, I can say, as it's well over 5 years. Yes. So, he's seen some core parts of cybersecurity, the challenges and the tactics that would say the hackers and any intruders any intruder might want to use. I beg your pardon. So I would just like to say this. Just give us can you please give us an overview of what cybersecurity is all about for a beginner, someone that is naive and new into the industry, somebody that does not know what cybersecurity is all about. I know cybersecurity is deep and is gaining more awareness here in Africa. Nigeria will be our focus right now. A lot of people are getting more aware compared to what it used to be some years back. So I still believe some people still don't understand how it works. So would like you to share more light on what cybersecurity is all about for a beginner, for somebody that has no idea at all. Yeah, over to you now, Mr. Bolaji.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Olato. It's a pleasure to be with you on this live. Um, Let me quickly talk about BB claim and I will dive right into the question. BB claim is Bolaji Bankole Cybersecurity Leadership and Mentorship Program. This is a program that have built cybersecurity experts like me to share my knowledge, to collaborate with experts like Olatoro, friends, and to collaborate with experts to collaborate with
Yeah,
experts and relate with everyone, share knowledge, learn together. This helps us build a community of cybersecurity experts and we all will learn. So I have been practicing for over 14 years. um
wow.
yes. And I mean, so maybe it will be nice to also give like a brief background of um my experience before I dive into the question, so everyone
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
okay, go ahead.
know. Yeah, cool. That the expert who is speaking is someone who has got the right experience. So I'm one of those fortunate Nigerians that have always wanted to acquire skill I've always wanted to be one of the best at what we do, right? So I started as a server administrator. My days in school, I already knew I was going into tech, right? I already knew I
Okay.
would go into tech. And so I had the opportunity to quickly make my decision, and I started investing in tech. So what do I mean? I started going for training, attending training and the likes, and that kind of, helped. Um, I started, enrolling for training. I started doing stuff that would help me achieve my goal. My service year all through, I was also busy. Um, you know, I was busy trying to acquire skill and all of that. So that helped me. I was privileged to work for an organization where I had to work as a server administrator, network security engineer, lead information security risk
So
engineer.
you were sorry to cut you. You were already exposed to people on the field.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. That
So
gave you a leverage.
yeah, so let me give you this context. So I actually enrolled for computer diploma in computer engineering and networking. Um, Immediately I got done with my studies in school, and so that kind of helped me about knowing about computer networking and the likes. So while I was going to serve, I had the opportunity to. At first, I served with a school. Then I had the opportunity to join a company, and that was where I was exposed to servers. I was exposed to printers. I was exposed to server projects, and we're able to, install several servers. We're able to, work on network devices like firewall, and that kind of exposed me to a lot of things. Even that period was when I also learned about how to change the UPS battery, as little as that. So I had to pay
Oh,
attention. Yeah, I had to pay attention to that. Fortunately, also for me, for that company, they also sell printers. They sell laptops, they sell servers. So I was privileged to be with that company when the company actually they got a contract to even set up like 5 servers. So I was very lucky to, be with them. And the boss we had then had to set up one of the servers, and I mean after following the instructions and all of that, I had to also set up mine too. So I had that experience. And so moving from that, for someone who, I mean, I left that company, went on for, another role and the like. So I've worked as system admin, network administrator, team lead information security engineer, cybersecurity consultant, then moved into pen testing and the likes. So that kind of helped me. And when I say pen testing, we have several roles like the web pen testing, API pen testing, network pen testing, mobile pen testing, and the like. So that kind of helped me. Now, I see all over the internet people talk about they talk about cybersecurity. Some of the people who record these videos, some of them actually look at other videos and they replicate it. There are a lot of information. I mean, because cybersecurity is broad, so they just muffle up everything and they want to share a lot of information at the same time. Now, what will differentiate us as seasoned experts is the fact that, we can put up training. We can mentor people in a way that they will understand, in a way that it will help them grow, in a way that it will help them build their skill, in a way that it will help them get a job, in a way that it's exactly what the HR really wants, you know. So that's one of the unique capabilities that we have because I mean we practice every day, we understand what is happening. So talking about cybersecurity, if I'm to demystify the myth around cybersecurity, Um, Let me define cybersecurity as the protection of the cyberspace. So, when you talk about the protection of what you've got in the cyberspace, the next thing that comes to mind is, so what are the things that exist in the cyberspace? What are the things that exist in the cyberspace?
Hmm.
So, this is how I'm going to define what we have in the cyberspace. Any device you have, and this is using the Nigerian context, any device you have that has got data. Data means you can load data irrespective of the telecom network that you're using, maybe MTN or Airtel or whatnot. You can load data. So a typical example will be your phone, or yeah, so your phone is not connected to the cyberspace not until it is connected to the internet by you putting the data on it. Your laptop is not connected to the cyberspace not until you have the data on it. How can you put a data on your laptop? Simply by using a modem that has got data, right? Now,
Yes.
that is that is a context that I want to paint, and that is for personal security, personal context of the cybersecurity. Then for a company, they also have, just similar to what I just explained with the laptop, they have servers. Servers just look like the normal system. It's just that they are the bigger version. It's like saying a Beatles car, a small car, a saloon car, and a Jeep. So they just have these other servers or laptops, but they can perform more functionalities faster, so, and they are more expensive. So now, that being said, what I've just done is to define cybersecurity, saying, oh, the protection of all the devices within the cyberspace. It means that you, as a person, what you want to learn is, one, you want to learn about your own personal security, how you can protect your own devices that are privileged to connect to the cyberspace. Now, and also you as an individual who works as an expert, who works as a consultant, how to protect the company's servers. And there are different types of servers, there are different types of devices, and all of those devices that connect to the cyberspace. I don't know if with this explanation, um, you've been able to make a sense of what I just explained.
Yeah. First and foremost, thank you for your contributions. I would want to pick it from the angle of data. Just like you said, there is no cybersecurity without data, because in cybersecurity we protect our clients' data, our clients' information, our customers' information, the overall organization's information. And these are data, information, details you collect on a daily basis. These are people's information gathered in
Correct.
our server. And these are things that we try to protect when it comes to cybersecurity. Without data, probably there will be no cybersecurity. There will be no hacking of anything, because our information are like data that the external world, or the what's it called, the intruders are looking for, so that they can
Correct.
lynch on that and cause the organization a problem, so that they can get money in return. And we now know that now, the way our generation is going, the way the world, process is growing, our data are growing very fast. We even have a data world, we call it the dark web. So wherein people's data are being exchanged for money on a daily basis. So I remember a few weeks back, if not months now, there was an escalation that our information from the NIN, what's it called? Our, our information in Nigeria is
Yeah.
being exchanged out there, and they found a way around it. I wouldn't know if it has been properly stopped or it's still ongoing, but we know every day people's data are being stolen online. As long as you're connected to the internet, you are already exposed to the world. So whatever, we all have to be mindful of how we expose our details online. A lot of people get carried away with free wi-fi's and all, in which is one major platform wherein your data is being stolen. Because in the bit of accessing a free wi-fi, you wouldn't know that there is an intruder monitoring the links and all. Yes, it's like a trap, but majorly people see it like, oh, let me just enjoy freebies. But in the course of that, whatever you are downloading or whatever you are doing on that network, don't forget that you have a passcode, and you are using it on a platform that is not safe, is unsafe for you because it's free. Oh, okay, that's, sorry about network. Because it's unsafe for you because you're accessing a free network wherein there is no antivirus, there is no this or that to protect your information. So because you're not aware, as a layman, you log in and feel everything is right. Thereafter, you start getting, unnecessary phishing information, if you're sensitive enough. If not, you will still click on such links, and before you know it, they can now finally access what you have. So everybody's data is very important, is meant to be protected. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. I love that context you you brought into this whole discussion. Yeah. Um, I mean, the point is valid. Data
Thank
is
you.
the new oil. Yeah,
Yeah,
data is the new oil, and it's important for everyone now to pay attention to um, what
your
is happening to
information.
our data, yeah, and the likes. So, do you want to ask more questions? Want to
Sure,
go
sure,
more light?
sure. We are ready for you today.
Okay, great. That's cool.
All right, all right. So
Yeah.
I would like you to speak about the core principles guide as regarding cybersecurity. I know that we have the CIA threat here, so we have other principles that guide cybersecurity.
Okay,
So
great.
over to you.
Interesting. Yeah. Thank you. So, talking about the principles that guide the cybersecurity, um, let me also, you know, touch on the difference between information security and cybersecurity. Then I'll talk about the
All right.
principles. So, a lot of people confuse information security and cybersecurity. Most times, when they use them interchangeably, when they use them
Thank
interchangeably,
you.
yeah, cool. So they kind of confuse the listener, but cybersecurity is the protection of the information that is within the cyberspace. Then information security is the protection of information, irrespective of where the information is located, irrespective of where the information is stored, irrespective of where the information is being used. So a typical example would be if it's stored on your phone, if it's stored on your laptop, if it's stored on any bigger laptop, which is a server that a company owns, if it's stored via form, if it's stored on paper, like we go to the bank and you obtain form and you fill a form and they ask you of your BVN, they ask you of your PII, personal identification information, they ask you about all those things. It That's information security is the protection of all form of information, irrespective of how they are stored. So I want to put that context out there. Now, talking about the core principles of the cybersecurity or information security. The common principles of cybersecurity and information security is what we call the CIA. Now,
Yeah.
confidentiality, integrity, and
Integrity,
availability.
reliability.
Now, yeah, so what does that mean? It's like the CIA is like the formula you have to always guide you, and that's how you confirm if something is cybersecurity compliant, if something is information security compliant, if it is otherwise. So let's define, you know, the CIA itself. Confidentiality has to do with, you not having information that is not meant for you. So a typical example is um, you might not have the record, that's the medical record of the president of the United States of America as a
Hmm.
Nigerian. So you you're not meant to see it. You're not meant to know what kind of sickness he's got, and the
It's
likes,
meant to be
right?
secured.
Yes, it's meant to be, secured, protected. Now, if you want to define the context of breaching that confidentiality, you would say that I'll give another example. For myself, you are not meant to see my account details. That's my
No.
account balance. Now, if peradventure I drop my phone and you pick up the phone and the phone is not locked and you see my balance, it means that you have breached that confidentiality in that context because the maybe I didn't password the phone and you're able to access it, you know, you're able to access my balance. Now, that being said, we can say that any information that you're not meant to have access to, that kind of information should never be exposed, to anyone. That's the context. So that's me defining confidentiality. Now, the next thing I want to define is integrity.
Integrity.
So integrity is to say I left 50 million naira in my account. And so the bank I use, after 3 months, I discovered that I had 40 million.
Something
And
is wrong.
apparently, yeah. So apparently, that story they usually give where, somebody deducts some amount of money from their account, blah, blah, blah. Now, so if anybody, and maybe let's cite an example, a database administrator probably had access to that database where the money is kept, like the wallet, and he was able to move the money and initiate the transfer. Now, and nobody kind of know about it. Nobody got to know about it. Move the money, and maybe he's been moving it by 1 naira every day,
In
1 naira every
bits.
day. Yeah. Now, all of a sudden, I got to know what it means is the integrity of that bank is at stake. Now, the
Sure.
the information, that account itself, the integrity is also at stake. It means that um, I kept something and someone tampered with it. Because anytime you hear about integrity, you should think of tampering. Someone tampered with it, maybe deliberately or indeliberately or
Like
somehow.
gaining an unauthorized access.
Exactly. So, and that happens. That happens a lot, you know, tampering with stuff. And it's something that, everyone should be worried about, right? So um, nobody wants to have anything to do with any bank where, they can easily, um, you know, gain
Tamper with,
access to, yeah,
okay,
tamper
their
with your
data.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then for availability has to do with when a typical example in an office, when you have a network printer, that network printer is meant to be available online for the network, and for the users. And someone was trying to send something to the printer and it's not available because someone went there to disconnect it. As at that time, because it was not available, what it means is the availability has actually been breached, right? Because it's not there. A typical example is also my account in the bank. I decided to use the mobile app and I'm trying to log in and I'm not able to log in. And what the bank has promised is that the mobile app will be available 24/7.
24/7. Yeah.
So how come I can't reach it? And I've not been able to reach it for 5 days, and I have $50 billion in that account. How do you feel? You know.
That's
So
horrible, man.
yeah, so that's the context of availability. I mean, I can go on and on just to give the basic CIA
Example.
principle. Yeah. So, and I see this happen a lot of times. So let me also give this context. Do you know that the fact that you have a phone and you have a password will help you protect and enforce confidentiality on the information that is being sent to your phone. Do you agree?
Sure, sure. Because there would not be any situation like a stranger accessing your details just on one hand. Because when your phone is locked, surely whoever is handling your phone requires a passcode, and definitely for a stranger it's going to be impossible to access all your informations all at once. Unlike a phone that has no passcode, that is not locked, it's easy for anybody to access any form of information. So yeah, that's very necessary.
Okay, great. So, another context to that is when you have a mobile application, that application, logging into that application, I mean, we're discussing security now, so it's also important. That's why you should, beyond the password, you should have like a 2FA, to help you link
Authentication
it.
factor. Yeah.
Yeah, two authentication factor like the 2FA, just having multiple authentication factor to ensure that it's going to be a bit difficult for someone to gain access to it.
To just, yeah, yeah. Because there will be a lot of
Yeah, so
difficulty. Yeah.
yeah, and you see, let me also put a challenge out there. Do you know that a lot of people use Gmail, they use Yahoo Mail and all of that, but do you know that there's also 2FA? So if you are listening to this if you are listening to us on this channel and you have any social media accounts and you do not have 2FA activated on your Yahoo, on your Gmail, on all form of accounts that you have, please, you need to do that. Let me add to that too. For WhatsApp, if you have not authenticated, if you have not approved or started using your 2FA too, um, you can be easily hacked. So,
Yeah.
so
Like, if I need to add to that,
yeah,
the authentic aside the two authentication factor, there's another aspect where you need to include your personal email, because it's now known that when people get robbed, um the first thing these guys do, they quickly change to their own email, so that any information from your WhatsApp chat comes to them. So even all your tokens and everything now goes to their email. But once your own email is saved already and has been updated by Google, Gmail, or whatever platform that is managing your email address, definitely if somebody is trying to do something funny, they can easily be trapped.
Great. So to add to what you just shared, that's the recovery email within the setting, within the security setting, which makes a whole lot of sense. Like that's one of the targets of the bad guys. They try to look for, how to quickly take advantage and also have continuous access to your information. I mean, that's spot on. I love that. So,
Thank you.
talking, yeah. So, talking more about availability. Availability, most times, I will quickly bring in another context. I mean, if your family members are expecting you to be available and you're not there, um, that's maybe you were supposed to be at the party, birthday party, and at that
Yeah, in
party
the
you were.
school.
Yeah, and you are supposed to be the MC of that day. You are supposed to be the master of the ceremony of that day. I mean, and you're not there. You won't make their day, right? And that's really
Yeah,
gonna hurt
it's
them.
a disappointing one.
Yeah. So another thing to look out for is for a company, yes, if an application is supposed to be available, it's not available, a server is not supposed to is supposed to be available and it's not available, or your CEO traveled to have a session with Bill Gates and wants to share and showcase an application that you guys just designed or developed, then all of a sudden he tries to connect to that application and the application is not connect.
That's a flop.
Ah, exactly. So it's not available. And you know what that means. So your CEO is sitting right in front of investors and is trying to, demo the application. And since morning, everything has been working fine. All of a sudden, when he wanted to
Everything
click on
just
the
goes.
application and it keeps, it says the server is not available. I mean, that's, something else, right?
Yeah.
So another context, that's for the last one.
All
Um,
right.
integrity, yeah, is about. I'll make it just a bit simple. Saying that I have 50,000 naira there, and someone gets there and meets the 50,000 naira there, and you also get back there, you meet the 50,000 naira there. Nobody has tampered with it. You drop something somewhere, nobody touched it. You put a bag resting on the wall in a particular place, and nobody went there to touch it. So that's like that context. So bringing it down, most times what happens is you have certain data, certain information stored in the database. If a threat actor or a hacker gain access to that database and manipulates the data, and that data is not encrypted. And what is encryption? Encryption is to make data. If you look at the screen, you see my name, Bolaji. It's like putting that name in a text file. If you open the text file, you will see Bolaji in it, right? Written in that text file. But now I will make sure that if you click on that text, you'll not even be able to see it. What you will see will be gibberish, will just be rubbish. You know, that is me saying that yes, I've encrypted the file, right? So that's like the context. So so that's for the context and definition of like encryption. Just making something that should be in plain text, making it now,
Visible, like
yeah,
it's
making
hidden.
it difficult. So encryption is you something that is easy for people to see, make it difficult for people to see. Like you can't see it. Decryption is you something that people that is protected, you take it out. It's a bit similar to if you have a Word document and you put a password on it. so you have encrypted that file. So if I give it to you, you, you can't, if you don't have the password, you won't be able to access it. You know what that
Decode
means?
it in.
So yeah, because I've encrypted it there. Except I send you the password, that's how you'll be able to access it. So I think with that, I've been able to touch on some of
Yes, you've
the
actually done
information
justice
security.
to that part.
Yeah.
Okay, going on. Thank you. Going on to the next question that we have for you. For a beginner, everybody hears about threats, cyber threats, this, cyber threat, that. Yeah, there are different forms of cyber threats. So, are, I mean, what are the major cyber threats that a beginner in cybersecurity should look out for? Something that, it's vague, because to their, in the world of cybersecurity is not vague, but in the local parlance, it's just like, what are you saying? Like, they don't still get it. So if you're talking about cyber threats, there's a lot of platforms that we have all this coming up every day, even every minute. These guys don't sleep. So I would like you to touch on cyber threats and attacks that a beginner should, look out for in this age, because they keep renewing their skills, their strategies every day. I mean, the hackers right now. So our people can be more aware.
Okay, great. So talking about threats, let me define threat. So um, in the cyber world, you will always hear threats, you'll always hear vulnerability. These
Yeah.
words go hand in hand. So anytime you hear vulnerability, remember weakness.
Yeah,
So
loopholes also.
yes, correct. So now when you hear threat, threat is like anything that can exploit, anything that can take advantage of. So if you
Another
put,
person.
yes, so if you put a man and a woman in a room, and that man has knife, the woman has money, the man can actually point the knife to the woman and say, give me the money. You see, at that point, what has happened is the woman is vulnerable because the woman
Yeah.
does not have a knife.
A weapon. Yeah.
Yes. So, but the man has got knife and he was able to, and the man is a threat. The knife is a threat agent. So there's what we call threat and a threat agent. So the man is a threat, the knife is a threat agent. And what they have done is to exploit the vulnerability. Now, do you know that if the woman and the man, both of them are in the room, both of them, none of them have weapon, it means that none of them is vulnerable. But as
Yeah.
soon as the woman has got knife and the man has money, that man is vulnerable to that woman. So the woman now becomes a threat. The knife with the woman now becomes the threat, uh, the threat agent, right? Now, if that, so let me take you back to the first context I painted where we have the man holding a knife. Now, the woman now, if I decide to give a double barrel or a machine gun to the woman, now the woman now becomes more powerful and becomes a threat.
Because she's equipped.
Exactly. So now let me quickly digress in a bit. That's why cybersecurity is important. Personal cybersecurity or personal security or knowledge about personal information
Yeah.
security is important. We all need to be equipped. We all need to protect our data. We all need to learn. We also need to keep learning. Now, threat evolves. What do I mean? Every day threats continue to evolve. Like things change,
Yeah.
Um, so anytime within the cybersecurity space, you will always hear threats and vulnerabilities. It means that the threat will always exploit vulnerability. So let me take you back to the other context. You know that when you have a goat and a yam, that yam is vulnerable. The goat is going to definitely exploit that yam and eat it. But if I put that yam somewhere and I put a trap that can hook the goat, as soon as the goat notice that this trap can hook him, guess what's gonna happen? The the yam, the goat will run away. So what
Because
does
of the
that
trap
mean?
that has been set.
Exactly. So what does that mean? That means that at that point, that yam and that trap becomes a threat. It becomes a threat to the goat. And you know that the whole story we usually have is the story of, the yam and the goat, and the yam and the goat, or the goat and the yam, where the goat will exploit the yam by eating it up, right? So
Yeah.
now we having a trap on that yam makes it more powerful because the goat will be trapped. So every time you hear about threats and vulnerability, always think of vulnerability is weakness, loophole, then the threat in itself is something that can exploit. Now, with this explanation, let's go right into discussion about the types of threats, right?
Okay.
There are a lot of threats. Do you know that even hackers are also threats because they can exploit, they can take advantage of anybody's ignorance.
Yeah, that's what they
So
majorly capitalize on.
exactly. So they can
Yeah.
take advantage of people's ignorance. They can take advantage of a system also. They can exploit a system that is not properly protected and the likes. Now, let me give you this. Do you know that a worm getting into the system, what is it coming to do? It's so
It's
that
a
it will go around the
virus.
system.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's, you know, just for the purpose of one, anything that comes to the system and does not allow us to achieve confidentiality, availability, and integrity,
Integrity.
then you know that there's a problem. So a virus comes into your system to tamper with your system and change a file and change. Do you know there are times you see
Network. It
documents?
can even and it can even capture the entire network. It's that bad sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. And you notice that certain files are corrupt and the likes, and those files were good before, but because they are virus infected,
Yeah,
malware
they
infected,
tampered with
and
it.
now, yeah, so they have been able to breach that integrity,
Trust.
yeah, the integrity trust from the CIA. So that context is key. Now, do you know that there are a lot of threats out there, and hacker is a threat, virus is a threat, malware is a threat. There are a lot of other
Trojans.
threats, trojans also. So, and there are different types of attack. So some of these attacks is like saying any attack or any activity or anything that's going to happen that kind of stops us from having access to our system, our personal system, our servers, the server of a company, then there's already a problem. anything that will also happen and make us have, anything that will happen and make us
That will
have.
disrupt the activities of an organization.
Yes, correct. So with that, I mean, anything that will breach the confidentiality, when an hacker just say, oh, they have hacked a particular organization's information and they share the data, you know, something that information that have been collected um,
Over time.
over time and they've been kept so privately and all of that, then you now have someone just push it out like that.
Out
I
there,
mean,
yeah, to mess the
exactly.
company.
So exactly. So that's a threat. So we've gone from, this is we talking about threats, and I explained threats. I talked about vulnerabilities,
And the
and
viruses.
yes, and the viruses, right? So with that context, um, we also talk about attack. So any form of
Yeah.
attack that is going to stop us from achieving the confidentiality, availability, and integrity
CIA
is
threat.
also yes, is also an attack. So phishing attack is one of those things to always look out for. Denial of service is also another thing to look out for. Man in the middle attack is also one thing to look out
Yeah.
for. Attacks within the OWASP top 10. The OWASP top 10 is the Open Web Application Security project, right? So there are, I mean, I already branched into OWASP now, but just giving a bit of context about that. You know that group of cybersecurity experts comes together to say what are the common threats, what are the common attack. It's like saying in Nigeria, the context of kidnapping, we know some of the stories, the common stories that
That
people talk
people
about.
say, yeah.
Yeah, so we usually would say, let's say you want to teach someone on how to be careful as regards, that kind of thing. One of the things you say is when you hear they want to share money, then you know that you're already in one chance. You're already you're almost
Like
gonna be
something funny is
kidnapped.
coming up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like the context. So now, talking about threat, threat is is inevitable. Really, threat is inevitable. Threat will always be there. So the different types of threats, we've talked about them. Ransomware is also another threat and the like. So everyone will have to continue to learn about threats because there are a lot of threats. Do you know that? Um, so this is me going a bit out of the technology context, but do you know that even fire is a threat? Fire is a threat to human. When someone, imagine a goat is inside a house and there's a fire explosion, that fire explosion, if it happens, it will burn that goat and nothing will happen. What that means is, at that point, that fire is a threat. Erosion also, can start and wash a lot of people away and wash stuffs away. So, um, with that context, with that context, I mean, it's an interesting one, and one of the things that I've seen is that Um, one of the things I've seen over time is that cybersecurity, talking about threats, we have to keep learning about threats. We have to keep, um, you know, um, enforcing certain controls to
Awareness.
help us
Yeah.
mitigate those threats. Yeah, yeah. So I think I've been able to answer those questions.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
well, I don't know. We have 2 minutes to 1 hour.
Yeah.
Maybe we would
Yeah.
round up now and continue
Yeah.
on the next episode, wherein we have more questions for you. Is that fine?
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. That's a good
Okay,
one.
because you've really done justice to all the questions we brought up today. I know there are more questions that people would like to drop in the comment section, the comment box, and probably the next episode would, come up with more things so that we don't take much of your time, because I know you're a very busy person, and I must say thank you and thank you and thank you once again for showing up here tonight. It's really an amazing session, and you've been, you know, amazing. So I give it to you. Sharing knowledge is not an easy task, though. You've actually done justice tonight. So we look up to our next episode where we shed more light on more things and get our people to be aware of what and what to look out for and focus on too. On this note, we'd like to close this session as we appreciate our guest, Mr. Bolaji Bankole, the cybersecurity expert. Welcome, welcome. Thank you once again. Really appreciate you. God bless you. Thank you and good
Thank
night.
you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Good
In 1 minute,
night.
you have anything you want to tell our audience?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And Olato, thank you so
I
much
enjoyed
for
that.
anchoring this. Thank you for taking us on a good ride. Um, till we meet next time, I remain your cybersecurity mentor. Thank you.
Thank you once again. Bye bye.
Bye.